Greetings once again. This is Dr. Bill Bailey, and this is VirtZine. VirtZine is, of course, the online magazine of virtualization and cloud computing. We are proud members of the Tech Podcast Network, techpodcast.com. If it's tech, it's right here on the VirtZine Netcast. Now, this week on VirtZine, we've got some interesting stuff. Matter of fact, we've got a lot of news in virtualization and cloud computing this go-round. Back on November 1st, this is our oldest post that we're going to talk about today. VMware invested in desktop as a service, DaaS. Now, that's going to come up in several of our discussions here on the Netcast today. VMware has acquired DaaS vendor Desktone, a Boston-based firm that specializes in desktop virtualization. Everybody is beginning to get into desktop virtualization. And at VMworld Europe, VMware announced they were buying Desktone, a Boston-based desktop virtualization vendor. The acquisition, terms which were not yet disclosed, was announced Tuesday morning. This is, of course, as of early November, earlier this month. In a statement, Sanjay Poonen, VMware's Executive Vice President and General Manager of End-User Computing, called Desktone a leader in desktop as a service that has a complete and proven blueprint for enabling service providers to deliver desktops as a service. Now, that was the opening salvo of some other announcements that came out, followed on those heels. And this one's the big one to me in terms of competition for VMware and Citrix. Amazon is getting into the desktop as a service game. And apparently this may be the wave of the future, because cloud-based desktops for businesses, I mean, think about it. If businesses didn't have to have local PCs and local desktop support and provide for that and so forth, if the desktops could be in the cloud and all they needed was basically just a dumb terminal locally, that would save them a lot of time, effort, and energy. So that's kind of the point behind desktop as a service as an initiative. Now, here, Information Week reported that Amazon Web Services announced Wednesday, and that was on the 15th, by the way, of November, that I posted this, so it was that Wednesday. Announced Wednesday that it's entering the desktop virtualization market and will offer Amazon Workspaces, which are Windows-based desktops from its cloud servers. Amazon Workspaces were introduced during a keynote talk by Andy Jassy, Senior VP at RE:invent, AWS's annual event for around 9,000 developers, partners, and customers in Las Vegas. The desktop move comes at the expense of VMware, Citrix, and Microsoft, who have gone unchallenged until now in their slow progress to virtualize desktops. Now, as you may know, I work at a local hospital, and we have virtualized 800 of our clinical workstations using VMware View. And, of course, we host that within our data center. And, we had to engineer that and so forth. But this desktop in the cloud service would be another opportunity for businesses to do pretty much what we did, so to speak, on our own using VMware View. So that's why VMware and Citrix are, getting a little nervous. And then the next article here that I posted says stock values of Citrix and VMware have been down 2 days in a row. This again was posted on the 15th after Amazon Cloud Desktop's announcement. Somebody out there is taking the Amazon Desktop as a Service announcement seriously. That was my comment about it. Shares of Citrix Systems and VMware were down a second day following Amazon.com's announcement that its Amazon Web Services unit will enter the desktop virtualization market to boost its cloud computing business. Now that's pretty wild to think about, affecting it, the market that much just by an announcement. They don't even have it out there yet. So we'll see how that falls out. That should be very, very interesting to watch over the next few months here. All right, next article is Red Hat does cloud too. We don't want to forget good old Red Hat. They've been out there offering open source operating system and Red Hat Linux, and now, of course, Red Hat Enterprise Linux for the enterprise. And Red Hat Virtualization is a very powerful virtualization platform that a lot of people have been overlooking. And the message Red Hat wants you to come away with is that they have an inexpensive way to virtualize in-house using their hypervisor. Plus, their hypervisor is designed to use OpenStack, and OpenStack has become a very important cloud standard, so that from their perspective, Red Hat's perspective on this is that because OpenStack is integrated into their virtualization platform, they are in a position with Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization to boost you into the cloud, so to speak, in a much cleaner and easier way than perhaps other platforms. They want you to take a look at it and consider them as an alternative, and of course, that is something to look at. It's certainly less expensive. Now, Red Hat Virtualization is a bit of a strange one. KVM is very much on the one hand, on the other hand type of hypervisor when you think about it. This is the article from ServerWatch. On the one hand, the technology is good. Red Hat is clearly committed to its Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization, and now also to Red Hat Cloud Infrastructure, the infrastructure as a service offering. The company introduced the IaaS offering back in June. Speaking virtually, it uses RHEV in conjunction with the company's Red Hat CloudForms cloud management platform and the Red Hat Enterprise Linux OpenStack cloud platform. On the other hand, he says, the virtualization and cloud markets are dominated by news from VMware, Microsoft, and Citrix. So Red Hat barely gets a look, and you could be forgiven for thinking the technology hasn't made a huge impact on the world of virtualization and cloud. In fact, you'd be right. Red Hat's market share is small, even though it's growing strongly with help from IBM, a significant contributor to KVM. But Red Hat is not giving up. Toward the end of October, the company announced the availability, albeit in beta, of RHEV, Red Hat Enterprise Virtualization 3.3. And although as usual it got a little fanfare, it is worth taking a look at what RHEV 3.3 has to offer. So pretty important consideration to look at Red Hat. I mean, come on, folks. I'm a Red Hat guy. I got one right there on the shelf, a Red Hat. So you might want to take a look at it. And I know I'm a VMware guy, I'm a Citrix guy, but I'm also a Red Hat guy. So worth looking at, all right? Let's move on. Next item here is VirtualBox 4.3. I don't want to reverse that. 4.3 offers touch screen support. This is kind of cool. It now not only supports Windows 8 and 8.1, it also supports touch screen support. So if you have a touch screen enabled device and you're running VirtualBox as a personal hypervisor and you install Windows 8.1, for instance, in a VirtualBox session, your touch screen will work with it. That's pretty cool, no matter how you look at it. Now, I'm a big fan of VirtualBox. I use it as my own private hypervisor for local PCs, just because it's free and it's easy and it's really very powerful, does a good job. And of course, for large scale, I still go with VMware. But in terms of my own personal VMs that I might run on my local home PC, I'm using VirtualBox, and I'm very pleased with it. All right, last item here is a very interesting article that a guy, this is from VentureBeat, and this is about a guy who got really fed up with Google and the fact that Google had discontinued the Google Reader. You remember the big, uproar over that? Well, a lot of folks got bent out of shape over Google Reader. I never was really a Google Reader guy, so it didn't bother me that much. But this guy got a little bit out of shape, and he decided he was going to actually do something about it. So he decided he was going to develop a Google, quote-unquote, for his own home use. And make it even more interesting, he designed it to run on a Raspberry Pi. So a little computer the size of a credit card. He's created a server out of that now. He's running a version of Linux, special version that he has compiled called ArkOS, A-R-K-O-S. Then on top of that, he's created some software that he calls Genesis that is open source that he runs, and that provides email, chat, file sharing, web hosting, including web hosting of WordPress. I mean, how cool is that? And you'll be able to run all those essential services on a secure private server in your own home. about the size of a credit card. Pretty neat stuff. So I have ordered a Raspberry Pi. I've got that on order. It's been back ordered, but when it comes in, I'll set that up, put ArcOS on it, and I'm going to put it through its paces and see what it's like. And we'll have a demo of it here on VirtZine, as we've demoed a lot of other platforms in the past. But I tell you what, I'm kind of jazzed about it. I'm looking forward to it. Having my own little private Google, right here at home, that'll be pretty neat. So, lots of things happening. Boy, this has been a packed week of information on virtualization and cloud computing. So, remember, until next time, keep your head in the cloud.